From 50 Cent getting exposed by his own son over emotional neglect.
You thought you was special. You really thought you was special.
To Kai La calling out Benzino for not acting like a father.
Instead of being a father and just supporting from that side, you still want to be bitter.
And Boozie's own daughter exposing how he treated her behind the scenes.
You just don't be caring. You just don't care about my feelings.
We're looking at 10 rappers who got fully exposed by their own kids. Let's begin with the first on the list. 50 Cent and Maris Jackson. 50 Cent, music. Built his name surviving 9 bullets and writing the playbook for hip-hop business. But ask his oldest son Mares, music. And Curtis got one weak spot being a dad. Curtis Jackson and Chenika Tompkins had Mars back in October of 1997, and at music, first 50 was Hanson. Mares has called his pops a superhero in those early years. Somebody on TV who still came around. But once the fame got bigger and the breakup got messier, the bond started cracking. They split around 2007 to 2008 in a custody fight that dragged on for years, with the court eventually setting Curtis's payment at $6,700 a month. Then came the leaked text messages. When Mars was 16, screenshots floated around showing his pops telling him to delete his number, saying he didn't have a son no more, demanding paternity tests after all those years. Mares has called that the day his heart broke. It got uglier in 2018 when Maris posted a picture connected to one of the 50's old rivals. Curtis hopped in the comments saying he wouldn't have a bad day if both of them got hit by a bus. He cleaned it up later, said zero ill will, but the damage was already done out in public. By the time Mares was 25, he was on Instagram Live going off about how that monthly check wasn't cutting it. 50 wasn't trying to hear it.
25 years old. Why are you still talking about child support?
That's the Curtis we know. No filter, no soft landing. Mares, though, he kept reaching out. Even told TMZ he would sit down with his dad and pay him for his time if that's what it took.
I don't even know if a sit down can actually restore the situation.
But Curtis stayed firm, telling Charlemagne the relationship just don't work no more.
No, he doesn't. See, Charlemagne, you would call me. You don't call TMZ to say you want to sit down.
Maris dropped his own message on Instagram, sounding like a man who finally accepted the truth.
You thought you was special. You really thought you was special.
50 says he's leaving his empire to his younger son, Sire. Maris says he just wants the man, not the money. 15 years deep, neither side is moving an inch. Next on the list is Ghostface Killer and Infinite Cools. Ghostface Killer from Wong Music built his whole legacy off raw emotion and street poetry, but for over a decade, his son Infinite Coles has been telling the world that the man who taught hip-hop how to feel could not feel for his own child. Infinite is openly gay. He sings, he raps, he models. His sound is part hip-hop, part R&B, part ballroom and house, drawing on Brandy and Whitney and Toni Braxton. According to Infinite, things shifted between him and his pops when he started showing the world who he really was. He told the public that as he got older, his dad saw things in him he didn't like and just pulled away. In May of 2023, Infinite posted on Instagram calling Ghostface the full definition of a deadbeat. He claimed his pops let him stay in a shelter during the pandemic and barely showed up while keeping ties with other siblings. He said he was tired of staying quiet to protect Ghost's name. In late 2025, Infinite turned all that pain into music. He dropped his debut album Sweet Face Killer on December 5th of that year with a double single called Sweet Face, Music, Killer and Dad and I leading the way. He flipped a slur that used to follow him around and made it the title of his whole project. The lyrics on Dad and I hit straight at the bone with lines about his dad telling him he ain't living right and saying man up when he put on makeup. Infinite Music has said this ain't no diss, it's no clout chase. He pointed to his dad's own classic record, All That I Got Is You, with Mary J. Blige, where Ghost laid out his pain. Infinite says he's just doing the same thing his pops did, telling his own story. He even said his dad don't have to accept him, but he should at least love him as his son. Comedian Ari Spears spoke on this exact situation, saying he understood the New York streets Ghost came up in and how certain things just don't fly in that world.
But Ghost just seems like such a street dude that certain things just ain't gonna fly with him.
Kept it real about how some fathers just can't handle it no matter what era we are in.
And everybody ain't gonna be Magic Johnson and be supportive.
Through it all, music. Infinite says he gives his dad grace and even worries about his well-being. He's been clear that his Wuong uncle RZA, who is actually his blood uncle on his mom's side, has stepped in and held him down. Ghostface himself has stayed quiet on the whole thing publicly. As of right now, there is no reported peace between father and son, just music, and silence. Next on the list is Benino and Koi Lai. Benzino was a Boston rapper, a magazine boss, a reality TV star. But to his daughter, Kyla Ray, he was just a man who couldn't celebrate her shine without trying to dim it. Koi blew up in the early 2020s with hits like Twinem, No More Parties, and Players. She got a Grammy nomination, made the Billboard charts, and became one of the loudest new voices in rap. But while she was climbing, her dad was on the internet airing out grievances. She has said for years that the dynamic was rocky and that her mom carried the family while Bino lived a different life. In May of 2024, Kai made it plain. She told everybody she wanted nothing to do with her father, that they hadn't spoken in over a year, and that sharing blood don't make you family. The straw came when Benzino went on a podcast defending R. Kelly and suggesting a second chance. Koi backed all the way up. Earlier that year, while she was on top of the world, Benzino went online, sniping at her. She pulled over on the side of the road and went live, voice cracking with her.
Instead of being a father and just supporting from that side, you still want to be bitter.
She kept going, saying the only time her father wanted to talk to her was when he needed something for his own come up.
Trying to get me to go on Growing Up Hip Hop, told me that they wasn't going to let you on it if it wasn't for me.
Benzino, for his part, claims it tore him up to hear his daughter come at him like that.
When everything happened, all the, the stuff she said on the internet, man, it tore a hole in my heart.
He said he was used to his other kids respecting him, and getting blasted by his own daughter put him in a bad place. He has blamed the dynamic on her mom and on music, outside influences. Claimed he was a single dad in Atlanta at one point and said he wishes the whole thing could play out off the timeline. Music. He also said he represents his late mother and he can't have folks thinking he was a bad dad, but the public went in. Comments under his name turned into a deadbeat dad pylon. And Benzino has admitted that he sometimes snaps back too hard and gets banned from platforms. By late 2025, he was getting emotional in interviews, saying he music hopes his daughter finds her way back, especially now that she's a mom herself. Koi has stayed focused on her career and her child. As of music right now, the two ain't speaking. Next on the list is Boozy Badass and Poison Ivy. Boozy Badass is a man who built his catalog on heart and pain, telling stories that made Baton Rouge feel like everybody's home. But the same man who raps about love for his kids has caught more heat than just about anybody for how he handles them in public. Boozy has 9 kids by multiple music mothers, and he made fatherhood part of his brand. He gives them cars when they hit 16, posts them on the music internet, talks about them in every interview. But the way he talks about them is where the trouble starts. Music. In 2017, he posted a birthday message for his son Tootie Raw. Then turning 14, that crossed lines. 3 years later, in May Music of 2020, he doubled down on a live stream, saying he paid a grown woman to perform acts on his son and nephew when they were around 12 to 13 years old. He framed it as teaching his boys to be men. The internet went all the way up, calling for child protective services and accusing him of putting his own kids at risk. But the loudest call-out came from inside the house. His oldest daughter, Eviona, known as Poison Ivy, is openly gay. And Bowie has spent years going on podcasts trashing her sexuality, including on Young Miami Show Music, where he used the word contaminating about her around her siblings. In 2024, Ivy finally went live. She wasn't yelling, she was tired.
Man, I really don't even know where to start for real, because this ain't even my character.
She laid out how he kept doing interview after interview talking about music, her sexuality without ever sitting down with her face to face. She said the lessons he taught her growing up wasn't about church or peace. It was about hustle and not letting nobody play you.
You just don't be caring. You just don't care about my feelings.
She said opportunities had been missed because of his name. That artists were scared to work with her because of him, and that all she wanted was for him to use his platform to support her music the same way he used it to talk about who she sleeps with. Boozy eventually apologized and dropped some support online for her, but the damage was already public. He has also had public friction with another teenage daughter who he said called him outside his name on a witness stand. He repossessed the brand new Mercedes he bought her after that, saying disrespect cost more than the car was worth. The receipts pile up. Boozy keeps providing. The kids keep showing the cracks anyway. Next on the list is T and Deja Harris. T is the king of the South. Tip from Bankhead, the man who helped invent trap. But back in 2019, he stepped on a podcast and said something that turned his daughter's whole world upside down. On a show called Ladies Like Us, Tip talked about taking his 18-year-old daughter, Deja Harris, to yearly visits at the gynecologist to make sure her hymen was still intact. He framed it like protective parenting, like music. He was just keeping her safe from boys. The internet caught fire. Doctors and Planned Parenthood spoke out, explaining that checks ain't a real measure of anything and that the practice is harmful. Lawmakers in New York started talking about banning so-called virginity testing. Music. Critics called it controlling, invasive, and based on stuff that wasn't even medically true. Tip went on Red Table Talk and tried to clean it up. He called it gate. Said his words were twisted. Said he never went into the exam room. He said sorry to Deja for putting her business out there. But sorry on TV ain't always sorry at home. A few months later on the family's reality show, Deja finally spoke. She was on Music, a Mexico trip with her stepmom, Tiny, sitting on the beach, eyes heavy. Tiny was the one who had to break the news that Tip didn't think Music he did anything wrong.
I had a talk with him and he seems to think that he didn't do anything wrong, so...
Deja had been quiet through all the headlines. But Music, on that beach, she let it out. The kind of thing that don't make a beat or a hashtag.
Since the news broke, my dad and I haven't spoken. I just feel like he should be reaching out to me about all of this.
She told the cameras she felt completely uncomfortable, that her heart sank when she heard about the podcast, Music, and that the gynecologist trips with her dad in the building had been happening since she was around 14 or 15. She said as a minor, she couldn't have said no. Today, Deja is in her mid-20s, attending Clark Atlanta University, studying speech communications and rhetoric. She crossed into Delta Sigma Theta in April of 2026, taking the line name Precious Air to honor her late aunt. She has been open about her depression and anxiety since she was 11 and uses her platform to push mental health and her brand, The Safe Space. Music. Tip and Deja have moved past the worst of it publicly. But the moment showed how a podcast clip can break something between a father and a daughter that no apology video can fully fix. Next on the list is Lil Wayne and his kids. Lil Wayne dropped the D from Dwayne for a reason. The man who built more careers than most labels grew up without his own father, and the pain still shows up in interviews when he Music talks about it. He sat down years ago and explained the choice without flinching.
I dropped the D because I'm a junior. My father's living, and he's not in my life.
That's the core of who Wayne is. A man trying to be the dad he never had while running one of the busiest careers in hip-hop history. He has 4 kids by 4 different women, born across a window that lined up almost perfectly with his commercial peak. His oldest is Regina Carter, born in November of 1998 with his high school sweetheart Toya Johnson. Then came his first son, Dwayne Carter III, born in October of 2008 with Sarah Vian. Then in 2009, 2 more sons in the same year. Cameron Carter with actress Lauren London, born in September, and Neil Carter with singer Nivea, born in November. While Wayne was on the road dropping mixtapes, his kids were in school dealing with their last name being a whole event. In December of 2025, Regina had her brothers on her podcast Airtime for a Christmas conversation, and they kept it honest about what growing up around the spotlight was really like. Cameron said school was rough early on because every other kid was telling him that's Wayne's son before he could even introduce himself. Music. He said it made it hard to find real friends. Dwayne III said his private school was tough because the other rich kids were nosy and always asking questions. Regina was different. She said, yes, she's Lil Wayne's daughter, and she leaned into it. But she gave her brother space to say their version because their version wasn't the same. She also defended her pops, saying he texts every day, that he sets a high bar for being there, even when he's everywhere else. Wayne has paid in dollars, paid in time, paid in advice. But the math of 4 kids in 4 homes during his hottest streak meant somebody was always missing from somebody's first day or last game. He has called his own father the most irresponsible man he ever knew. And he has said that talking about his pop still moves him to tears. Critics still drop Wayne's name in deadbeat conversations because of how the family was structured. His kids tell a different story, one where he showed up in his own way. Next on the list is Future and his many kids. Future built his sound on cold heartbreak, lean drips, and verses that turn pain into pop stars. Off the mic, the man's family tree is bigger than some independent labels, and the whispers about his fatherhood have followed him for years. By the count Future has used in interviews, and the count Wikipedia and other outlets keep. He has at least 7 kids, and recent paternity suits push the number higher. The mothers include Jessica Smith with his oldest son Jacoby from 2002, India J with London from 2009, Brittany May with Prince around 2012 to 2013, Kiara with Future Zahir from May of 2014, Joey Chavis with Fricks from December of 2018 and others. In April of 2026, a Florida woman named Isla Sanad Music filed a paternity suit claiming Future is the father of her 9-year-old son named Cash. The receipts are all over the internet. Brittany May has gone public claiming he didn't see their son for a long stretch at one point. Eliza Rain and Cindy Parker have aired things out, too. There were also reports of leaked jail calls from Young Thug around 2025, where Thugger reportedly called out his man for prioritizing a lifestyle over his children. Folks online started using the deadbeat label even as Future has been clear in court that he pays his support. The tension is the gap between paying and parenting. Future has said in interviews that picking one mother would just hurt the rest, that he never planned on traditional. He has shouted out the moms on Mother's Day. He has posted Future's Zahir on Instagram, but the pattern of multiple homes, multiple siblings who barely know each other, and a father always on the road built a perception he hasn't really fought to clean up. Tiara took her son and built a whole new family with Russell Wilson, who has been visibly involved with Zahir from day one. The contrast was loud. Russell coaching, Russell at games, Russell on the carpet, Future tweeting and recording. The internet did the math. Future hasn't posted an apology tour. He keeps releasing albums, keeps stacking features, keeps moving. The kids are out there. Some teenagers now growing up in a story where their dad's name is on every chart and a court file at the same time. Whether you call it lifestyle, choice, or absenteeism depends on what corner of the timeline you're standing on. But the volume of mothers and the volume of complaints means Future is locked into this conversation anytime hip-hop fatherhood comes up. Next on the list is Uncle Luke and Lucretia Campbell. Uncle Luke is Miami forever. The man who made bass music, ran 2 Live Crew, and went to court fighting for free speech and hip-hop. He helped change the law, but his oldest daughter took to the camera and changed how a lot of folks saw him as a father. In June of 2010, when she was 18 years old, Lucretia Campbell, sometimes called Lucretia or Cree, posted a series of YouTube videos calling her dad a deadbeat. Music. She said he had a bunch of kids, but only really claimed one, the son he had with his then wife. She said she barely got that fatherly attention growing up, and she didn't hold back. An older sister reportedly co-signed in her own video, Music, asking Luke to step up for the rest of his children. The clips got picked up on hip-hop blogs and the famous lifestyle aggregator pages, and Luke landed on every worst fathers in rap list that year. Luke went on Houston radio to defend himself. He admitted he was actively raising one of his kids at the time. He talked about how the others came from situations he basically, described as sperm donation, and warned young men in the audience to wear protection so they don't end up dealing with bitter mothers and angry kids. He said the resentment came from women he had moved past. Music. Folks in the comments wasn't moved. The Luke who used to make a whole household uncomfortable on the radio now sounded like every dad who explains his absence by blaming his exes. Court records didn't help his case either. He had been arrested before for being behind on child support, and the receipts kept coming up. Years later on Growing Up Hip Hop, Lucia and Luke sat down on camera and Music tried to talk it out. Some moments were warm, some moments was tense. Another daughter, Lucretia, also went public with her own version of the family story. In a 2025 live stream, Luke claimed he had paid out $2.7 million in child support across his kids. And he, Music, said with the lawyer fees, the number is past $3 million. He said they still don't really call him on holidays, that only one of his kids hit him up on Father's Day. He blamed the moms for turning the kids against him. Music. The story is older than most on this list, but the script is the same. Money provided, presents missed, kids growing up to grab a phone and let the world know. Next on the list is Birdman and his family. Birdman is half of Cash Money, the man behind that RU ad-lib who stood next to Wayne for almost 20 years saying that boy was his son when the cameras rolled. But while the public watched him bond with his protege, his actual biological kids were quietly living their own version of the story. Brian Williams has 2 acknowledged biological children with a woman named Tia. Brian Jr. born in 1997 and Bria, Music, born in 1998. They have been around the edges of his world. Public birthday gifts, a few pictures, a reported $1 million present for Brian Jr. at one point, but compared to the visibility he gave Wayne, and to a lesser extent, the rest of his Cash Money artists, his real kids stayed in the background. The whole Lil Wayne father-son thing got famous for a reason. Wayne met Music, Birdman around age 9 to 11, signed with Cash Money young, and Bird treated him like a son in public, kissing him on the lips, making the album like father like son together, saying he'd ride or die for him in every interview. Wayne, whose real dad walked away early, leaned Music into it. Then the lawsuits came. Wayne sued Cash Money in the mid-2000s, claiming they held back his masters and his money. That whole my son framing fell apart in court. Wayne later went on record saying his last name ain't Carter and that he was too old for friends. Birdman kept calling him son anyway. They have patched things up business-wise since, but the public split made everybody look at the relationship different. The bigger issue critics keep raising is the contrast. Birdman kissed his protege on camera and built a public family with Cash Money artists, but his own son and daughter rarely showed up in his content. He's not the type to do an emotional sit-down. He has even said straight up in interviews that he ain't never going to show no emotion because he's music, a man. Birdman's own backstory might explain the wiring. His mother died when he was around 5. He spent time with an uncle in Canada and time in foster care. His dad got killed in a 1996 car crash. His sister Tamara died in a 2006 car crash. He stepped into parental roles for younger family members early. By the time he had kids of his own, his model of family was already built around hustle, providing, music, and surviving, not around bedtime stories. So, he wasn't on a worse father list because he yelled or feuded with his kids on the internet. He landed there because of what people didn't see. The contrast between the surrogate son with the platinum plaques and the real kids most fans couldn't even name. Next on the list is NLE Choa and his co-parents. Music. NLE Choa is from Memphis. Came up off Shot of Flow at 16, music. Became a dad at 18, and tried to grow up in front of the camera while trying to grow up at home. By 2025, both of his children's mothers were on social media saying, music. He wasn't doing it the way he claimed. He has 2 confirmed kids. Clover Burley Potts, his daughter, born in June of 2020 with his ex, Mariah, and Chosen Juan Dawson Potts, his son, born in August of 2023 with his ex, Marissa Da Music. Before Chosen came, Marissa and Choa lost a son they called 7 to a miscarriage in 2022. In mid-2025, Choppa and Marissa got into a custody fight that spilled out everywhere. Marissa claimed he had barely seen their son even though he was filing for custody. She accused him of neglect during visits. She said the baby came home hungry, music, and that Choppa was telling her the boy didn't need 3 meals a day. Mariah, the mother of his daughter, jumped in and backed Marissa up. Both moms used the word neglect and called music it a pattern. Choa fired back. He posted moments with his daughter brushing her hair, family videos with both music kids, and his mom, Angela, hopped in to defend him, too. Angela said kids need both parents and that the bashing was getting old. Choa called some of the claims cap. By early 2026, reports said he had won custody in connection music with the situation and that some of the CPS claims from one side had been addressed. Through all of that, Choppa was also engaged to singer Erica Raven by December of 2025, music, talking publicly about a future. He has posted plenty about loving his kids. He has also posted plenty music about discipline, like the time he said he made his kid help fill tires with air instead of taking them somewhere fun for acting up. He has described fatherhood as the thing that turned him spiritual. Music. The story shows the squeeze on a young rapper trying to do music, do co-parenting, do a public relationship, and do all of it before the front part of his brain finished wiring up. 2 moms went public. He went public back. The kids are growing in the middle of it. Whether the wins are real wins or pause buttons, only time and the next round of court documents will say for sure. If you enjoyed watching this video, then go ahead and click on any of the cards on your screen for music more.